according to St. John, the 9th chapter. Glory to you, O Lord. As he walked along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, neither this man nor his parents sinned. He was born blind so that God's works might be revealed in him. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had said this, he spat on the ground and made mud with saliva and spread the mud on the man's eyes, saying, Go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which means sent. Then he went and washed and came back able to see. The neighbors and those who had seen him before as a beggar began to ask, Isn't this not the man who used to sit and beg? Some were saying, It is he, but others were saying, No, it's someone like him. He kept saying, I am the man. But they kept asking him, Then how were your eyes opened? He answered, Well, the man called Jesus came, and he made mud, and he spread it on my eyes, and he said to me, Go to Siloam and wash. I went, and I washed, and I received my sight. They said to him, Where is he? He said, I don't know. They brought to the Pharisees the man who had formerly been blind. Now it was a Sabbath day when Jesus made the mud and opened his eyes. Then the Pharisees also began to ask him how he had received his sight. He said to them, He put mud on my eyes. Then I washed. Now I see. Some of the Pharisees said, This man is not from God, for he does not observe the Sabbath. But others said, How can a man who is a sinner perform such signs? And they were divided. So they said again to the blind man, What do you say about him? It was your eyes he opened. He said, He is a prophet. The Jews did not believe that he had been blind and had received his sight until they called the parents of the man who had received his sight and asked them, Is this your son who you say was born blind? How then does he now see? The parents answered, Well, we know that this, is our son, and that he was born blind, but we don't know how it is that he now sees, nor do we know who opened his eyes. Ask him, he is of age. He'll speak for himself. His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jews. For the Jews had already agreed that anyone who confessed Jesus to be the Messiah would be put out of the synagogue. Therefore, his parents said, He's of age, ask him. So, for the second time, they called the man who had been blind, and they said to him, Give glory to God. We know this man is a sinner. He said, I don't know whether he's a sinner. One thing I do know, that though I was blind, now I see. They said to him, What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes? He answered, I've told you already. You wouldn't listen. Why do you want to hear it again? Do you want to become his disciples? Then they reviled him, saying, You are his disciple, but we are disciples of Moses. We know that God has spoken of Moses, but as for this man, we do not know where he comes from. The man answered, Well, now here's an astonishing thing. You do know where he comes from, and yet you do not know where he comes from, and yet he opened my eyes. We know that God does not listen to sinners, but he does listen to one who worships him and obeys his will. Never, since the world began, has it been heard that anyone opened the eyes of a person born blind. If this man were not from God, he could not do anything. They answered him, You were born entirely in sins, and are you trying to teach us? And they drove him out. Jesus heard that they had driven him out, and when he found him, he said, Do you believe in the Son of Man? He answered, And who is he, sir? Tell me, so that I may believe. Jesus said to him, You have seen him, and the one speaking with you is he. He said, Lord, I believe. And he worshipped him. Jesus said, I came into this world for judgment, so that those who do not see may see, and those who do see may become blind. Some of the Pharisees near him heard this and said to him, Surely we are not blind, are we? Jesus said to them, If you were blind, you would not have sin. But now that you say we see, your sin remains. This is the gospel of the Lord. praises to you, O Christ. Please be seated. So, if we don't really think something is possible, then for us, it isn't possible, right? I mean, if we don't believe that it's possible, then for us it's never, ever going to happen. It's sad. You know, I didn't think it was possible that I would become a pastor. Oh, I never did. No matter how much I loved the church, I was always finding new and creative ways to be involved. Monday through Sunday, I was pretty much at the church every day doing something. It was never quite enough. It was never satisfying enough. But it was not possible to be a pastor. See, I wasn't smart enough. It just wasn't possible. And I was a room mother, and there was a little boy named Bradley. I didn't think it was possible that child was ever going to learn to read. But he was a little boy that I went and I read with every single Friday. Bradley was counting on me. It was not possible. And I had two kids, one still at home and one in kindergarten, half-day kindergarten, and they had gymnastics and they had preschool and they had library time and they had swimming lessons, and it was not possible. And I had a really good Southern Baptist friend. See, it wasn't possible, no way, no how, but I had this good Southern Baptist friend, Rita. Rita was convinced to the core of her being that women belonged at home. Rita, the good Southern Baptist, was convinced with every fiber of her being that women should obey their husbands. Rita was convinced, and she would argue with me till she was blue in the face that we Lutherans were going straight to hell in a handbasket because we allowed women to stand there. And one day, as we had our children together for a play date, Rita looked at me and said, "You ought to be a pastor." For Rita, it was possible. For God, more importantly, it was possible. See, that's the thing about God, where we say, it's not possible. God says, oh yes, it is. Think about all of the readings we've heard since we switched over to the narrative lectionary in Advent. All of the impossibilities. There were those three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they refused to bow. They refused to bow to the king Nebuchadnezzar and his mighty gold statue. And Nebuchadnezzar, in a rage, cranked up the furnace so high that everything and everyone in its radius was melted or incinerated. No way anybody could survive that blaze. No how. No way. You say it's not possible. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walked right back out of that furnace with not so much as soot in their hair. And then there was Ezekiel. Ezekiel was plunked right down in the valley of dry, desiccated, brittle bones. As he moved, they rattled. God said, "Oh, mortal, can these bones live?" Ezekiel said, "No. They're dead. They're dry. There's nothing." "No way, no how," said Ezekiel. "Not possible, you say," said God, and sinews and flesh came on those bones, and they inhaled and breathed, and they stood, and they danced, and they sang. And then an angel appeared. An angel appeared to a virgin. if I remember back to high school health class, it's not possible for a virgin to be pregnant. And the angel said, you're going to bear a son. Mary said, we'll see. We don't believe that a virgin can have a baby. No way. No how. And yet, on a dark night on a hillside, an angel appeared to shepherds and said, there's a child, and it's been born for you, and you'll find that baby wrapped in cloths lying in a manger. Next to him will be his virgin mother. And the shepherds ran into Bethlehem, and they saw this thing just as the angel had told them. Not possible, huh? You know, I planned 2 weddings. Weddings require careful preparation. Special food, special drink. And heaven help you if the wine runs out. But in Cana there was a wedding, and Jesus and his disciples were there. Jesus, his mother said, they've run out of wine. You, she said to the waitstaff, you, do what he tells you. What was Jesus supposed to do? The wine had run out. All they had was water. And water may run out of our faucets, liberally. Water may run into our basement by the gallons. Water may splash out of basins to wash the guests' feet. But water is just water, unless, of course, it's something worse. But it's just water. Just water. No way, no how it can be wine. Not possible, you say? The waitstaff, they filled great big stone ceremonial jars to the brim with just water. And when they pulled it out, there was the best, the most exquisite wine anyone had ever served. That man, he was born blind. He had never seen a blue sky. He had never seen green grass. He had never seen what his mother's face looked like. He'd never seen his father's beard. He was born blind. He could see nothing. No doctor, no healer could change that. No way. No how. But Jesus spit and bent down and made mud and wiped it on the man's eyes and said, go, wash. And he came back able to see. He could see. He saw the brown of his mother's eyes, the gray flecks in his father's beard, the disbelief on the faces of the crowds and the Pharisees. He could see everything. The dead. They're dead. And we cry. And we bury them. And we gather in churches. And we listen for comfort from Holy Scripture. But we know they're never coming back. No way. No how. Except for 3 days later, after Jesus had been put in a tomb, the earth shook and it quaked, and the stone moved away from the face of the tomb. And the tomb was empty, and light infiltrated and invaded that dark, dark space. And Jesus lived. He lived. He appeared to Mary, and he appeared to Peter, and he appeared to Thomas, and he appeared to all the disciples. And he broke bread with them, and he ate fish with them. Jesus lived long after try. Oh, we try. We try to be good. We try to do good. We try to pull ourselves up. And maybe we even almost get there, but then we fail. We fail, and then we try again, and then we fail again, and we try again, and we know we're just worthless. We're not heirs to a kingdom. We're not brothers and sisters to Christ. We're just people who are miserable. No way, no how. Jesus, people. Jesus, he came to be our light. He was born into this world to be the light in our darkness. Jesus, he walked, he lived so that he would be our life. Jesus, he rose from the dead so that he would be our salvation. It is possible, people. It is possible because Jesus. Amen.